Alright, what's up? Hoosier Boo here, dying with pneumonia as of right now. But anyways, I'm at Cave Hills Cemetery in Louisville, Kentucky. And this is actually one of the most interesting cemeteries in America. I've been here before, and there's a lot of very interesting people buried here and a lot of interesting monuments. So let's go check this out. This gatehouse is one of the coolest of any cemetery I've been to. It was in 1880. You can really just walk for hours around the cemetery. Still find all sorts of new stuff. I've been here before, but like still, I found a lot of new stuff on this visit. Cave Hill Cemetery is the burial site of one of my personal heroes, George Rogers Clark. He is the conqueror of the Northwest Territory for the United States. This man totally changed American history and doesn't get enough credit for what he did when he captured Fort Sackville. Also, he founded this city. The general lived in Clarksville, Indiana, towards the end of his life. But after he kind of fell into his fire, he moved in with his sister, Locust Grove, which is a home here in Louisville. It is a museum. I have been there. I'm not going this trip. It's closed like everything on Sunday here in Louisville. But yeah, and that is where he died. He was originally buried at Locust Grove, then they moved his body here to Cave Hill with much of his family. So it's here with other family members like Captain Edmund Clark, General Jonathan Clark, Satterwhite. His brother William Clark of Lewis and Clark Expedition is buried at Bellefontaine, in St. Louis. This is the grave of Kentucky Governor Thomas Bramlett, and he was the Civil War governor, so he had quite an interesting task. He kind of just like hated everyone because he was like resisting the Confederate guerrillas that were here in Kentucky, but he also didn't like Lincoln and resisted the habeas corpus ban and a lot of the other stuff Lincoln was doing. I don't think I've seen a monument quite like this one before. It's got Jesus. I think that's Mormon Jesus. All the temples have statues like that. This is the massive grave of James Guthrie. He was a statesman and entrepreneur here in Louisville in the early days, and he's one of the main reasons it became a big city. This is a flower vase. Flowers made out of limestone. This is James Hewitt. There is a doggo on this one. I wonder if they have a dog buried here. So this is the Satterwhite Memorial Temple. And this is designed off of Marie Antoinette's little temple and her garden at the Petit Trianon, which was like her own personal house at Versailles. And it's made out of pink Italian marble. So Preston Pope Satterwhite is here, and his wife Florence Brokaw Satterwhite. I think she's the one who had all this money because she is 10 years older than him. But there's this beautiful statue in here. Since this is built on a group of hills, there are mausoleums built into them. This one looks like a temple. The Shannon one is a massive freaking temple. But on this one, it's not concrete up. And it doesn't even have glass. I can stick my hands in. Yeah, that's really cool. There's some empty spots. So this is a massive door to nowhere. And there's a massive stone boulder just right here, marking someone's grave. And George Douglas Shirley was an author. There's a large lake. With a bunch of ducks. This time, sorry. A lot of old cemeteries like this were designed to kind of be like attractions, and when people would, you know, just spend the whole day out here and have picnics and stuff. So this area is Cave Hill National Cemetery, and this is one of the earlier ones, and there were Civil War soldiers being buried here during the Civil War, so that made it one of the earlier ones. I'm not sure what year this one was established as a national cemetery, but there are Union and Confederate soldiers buried here. There are about 5,500 soldiers buried here at Cave Hill National Cemetery. A lot of them being from the Civil War, but not all of them. But you can see it's just a sea of white headstones. Just think of all the stories behind every single one. Looks like all of these Union soldiers died in December 1861. That's Indiana. A lot of these are Indiana and Pennsylvania regiments. I think all the national cemeteries I've ever been to have this. They have the Gettysburg Address, when the Soldiers National Cemetery at Gettysburg was established. That was the first national cemetery. This is Charles Booth. He was a lieutenant colonel. Major General Lovell Harrison Rousseau here is from Indiana. This reaches the edge of the cemetery. That's the Ohio River out there. You can't see it. But you can't see a bridge. Here's some more graves of Union soldiers. This is the grave of Kentucky Governor Augustus E. Wilson. So this was the site of the 32nd Indiana Regiment Monument, and it is the oldest surviving Civil War monument. I did go see it on this trip at the Frazier History Museum. I have a separate video on that. But it was right here. It was originally in Mumfordsville, Kentucky, the site of the Battleground Station. But then it was moved here in 1867. But then when I got so damaged to a point, they moved it to the museum. And this is a replica of it in its original state. And it was right here in the National Cemetery. So while there are a lot of Union soldiers here, There's actually a Confederate section here as well. So these are all dead Confederate soldiers. I don't know of any specific battle, probably some from Rowlett Station. They're down here on the hill at the National Cemetery. It's interesting, they have gray headstones, but still all identical. This lovely flag was dedicated by Confederate sympathizers in 1987. Nathaniel Wolfe here was an important attorney for the Commonwealth of Kentucky, but he was a Union sympathizer but stayed neutral during the conflicts. This is the grave of John C. Buckland. He was the first mayor of Louisville. So this is the grave of someone who was not here the last time I was here. This is the grave of Muhammad Ali, the civil rights activist and a heavyweight champion. He was a longtime resident of Louisville, and then he died in June 2016. And he's buried right here. This is the tomb of the founder of the Fraser History Museum. In the tomb of Charles Edwin Gaines, they have a stained glass Last Supper. That's neat. This is one of the newer sections of the cemetery. This is like rich 20th century Louisvillians. That one has stained glass in it. This is the grave of Mr. Magic. Harry Leon Collins was the corporate magician for the Frito-Lay Company. And this is a statue of him. Alright, this is the grave of the most famous Kentuckian, Colonel Harland Sanders, the founder of Kentucky Fried Chicken. This man is a national hero. Alright, well anyways, that is Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville. This is one of the most interesting cemeteries I've ever been to. I really like it here. It was neat getting to see Muhammad Ali's grave, because he wasn't buried here the last time I was here. But Colonel Sanders, I love him. He says, go watch my other videos and subscribe. And yeah, thanks for watching.